ఇప్పుడు రావాలి. Hi, hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Rajeev YSR show, episode 2. So this time we have also fixed up the problem of slides being not visible, unlike the last time. So now that is also taken care. First of all, welcome all of you for this particular show, and thank you very much for joining. May I know whoever has joined here? May I know your name and from which place have you joined? If any one of you join here for the first time, can you please type in where you are joining from? I'm accessing the chat too, so I will be able to respond to you. Yeah, where are you joining from? So we are live on LinkedIn, we are live on YouTube, and we are live on Facebook simultaneously. Okay, so as I already mentioned last time, but let me also once again repeat what this Rajeev YSR show is all about. The Rajeev YSR show is a platform through which I interact with all of you. You might be a student, an entrepreneur. Hi, Job Thomas, nice to see you. An entrepreneur or an employee professional or a business owner, right? Whosoever you are, we are all here and we are all thriving for one thing in life called growth, right? I always believe that growth is never an option, but it is an obligation. And when growth is an obligation, why not do it at right 10x? And during this show, what I'll be talking about is what are all the different tips and techniques of achieving this 10x growth, which you can apply in your own life and then start witnessing this 10x growth. Not just that, going forward on this show, I will also be interviewing the participants and the successful entrepreneurs who would have achieved 10x growth by implementing certain principles that are already there. A quick introduction about myself. I'm Rajeev YSR. I'm an engineer by qualification, bachelor's, master's from IIT Madras, and I worked with organizations such as Bosch, Mahindra and Mahindra, Chopper, Gati Logistics. And right now, I'm the chief operating officer for an organization called Avaan India and director to a listed company called TCI Finance. And this is my passion to encourage people to tap to their inherent potential to achieve 10x growth. And I'm very, very happy and glad to do this. Some of you reached out to me personally, sending messages that the talk show is really useful and you are able to gain a lot of insights and knowledge. I'm very happy and thankful about it. Now, without much delay, let us begin the show. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly recap the last week's episode 1 because last time I understood that some of you could not look at the slides. I'll quickly recap and then we will move to this week's episode. All ready? If you are ready, say yes, I'm ready in the comment box. And I'm also going to ask one more favor from you. The favor is very simple. Whichever platform you're using, whether you're using LinkedIn or whether you're using Facebook or YouTube, share it on your handle. If it is LinkedIn, share on your handle. If it is Facebook, share on your page or on your profile and comment that, hey guys, join the Rajeev YSR show. That's one favor that I would be asking from you. Hope that is all right. Good to see Job Thomas from Bangalore. Anybody else from Bangalore and rest of the parts of the country? Yeah. So without much delay, let's. Okay, Parvati is also ready. Excellent, excellent. Interestingly, excellent. Yeah, okay, Parvati is using LinkedIn. There is some delay between the time you type the message and I respond, but do not worry. Let's make the best use of this time. Okay, so there we go. As I mentioned, the initial slides were basically talk about who I am, why I'm doing all of this, etc. And okay, this is the letter of appreciation that I have received from the Department of Posts, where the similar workshop, half-day workshop, was conducted to that organization. And yeah, this is from the Chief Postmaster General, Department of Post, a civil servant. And yeah, these are some of the feedbacks that I have received from the participants who were part of the show earlier. And these are some of the brands that I worked with. And now let's move on. The first thing we mentioned, 10x growth is not a 10% growth. 10x growth is 1,000% growth, right? We are talking about 1,000% growth. And I also told you that I asked each one of you to write down what a 10x growth means to you, right? I told you all to write down what does it mean, what exactly is 10x growth to you. Uh, then, for those who haven't written, I've brought this quote from Mr. Dhirubhai Ambani, where he says that, right, for those who dare to dream, there is a whole world to win. So now, what's all pending is for you to dream. That's all. Okay. So let's move on. And then we also heard the story of an elephant, how that elephant was limited by his own thoughts. And most of the times, that's what happens with us, right? There will be nobody in the external world that would limit us, but just by ourselves. We are limited by our own thoughts. So if at all there are any thoughts that are limiting right now, you, in writing what the 10x growth is, check them off and then write down what the 10x growth is and what is your 10x goal is. Let's move on, right? As we also said, in this session, whether you are a student or a corporate or whosoever, if you are bound by your thoughts, if you are bound or chained by your own limitations, this show is all about just breaking them and then bringing you free from all of this and then helping you achieve 10x growth. Okay, now as I said, writing this goal is very, very easy. Where are you right now and where do you want to be in 10x? And this goal, I said, can happen in multiple ways. Number one, it can be in your salary, it can be in your designation, it can be in your family finances, it can be in your relationships, it can be anything, right? Think where you are right now, list down where you are right now, and then mention where you want to be in terms of your 10x goal. Okay, I hope you have written all of it. Then we have also seen a closer approach of 10x growth. We said 10x growth is not an efficiency increase, that 12 to 15 kilometers per hour is what man by average runs. We are not talking about the same man running at 120 to 150 kilometers per hour. We are talking about a cheetah running at 120 to 150 kilometers per hour, right? Similarly, we looked at car. We are not talking about a car running at 60, 90 kmph. We are looking at an aeroplane that is flying at 600 to 900 kilometers per hour, right? We are not talking about Earth. We are talking about, right, just the size of Jupiter, right? In terms of magnitude and size. Similarly, we are not talking about the tallest building, Burj Khalifa, which is 800 meters, but we are talking about Mount Everest, which is 8,000 meters. What does this all mean? This all means that 10x growth is not a productivity increase. It is not an efficiency increase. It is not anything to do with quality, etc. 10x growth is complete paradigm shift. You need to relook at this completely different to understand what this 10x growth is. As I said, we are not talking about man running at 120 to 150 kmph. We are talking about cheetah chasing at 120 to 150 kmph, right? Let's move on. Now from there, it's now those who haven't written, I'm sure, have this paradigm shift in your mind and start capturing what your 10x goal is. Yeah, let's move on. I hope you have written what your 10x growth. Then we also saw the origin of 10x growth, right? The origin of 10x growth in the corporate world was introduced by Larry Page, the founder of Google, where he expects all his programmers to perform and to deliver at 10x levels of what an ordinary programmer does. Then we talk about 10x to the core. We talked about what is 10x to the core. 10x to the core is all about the mindset. And being 10x means having a clear vision of the end goal, using the past experience, the intuition, and the foresight to obviously identify the roadblocks and find bugs and that could go undetected, and accordingly implement the solution right at the beginning and clear off those bugs. Right. That is all about the mindset. And now we're going to. We also said that growth is innate nature of nature. Anything in the nature, and if we were to say that it is alive, then he or she has to grow, right? And growth is a very innate part of nature, and hence, if you and I are part of nature, we have no exception from it, right? Couple of lessons that we learned from nature. We saw a cross section of carrot looks very similar to that of an eyeball, And then a kidney bean looks very similar to kidneys. A walnut looks very similar to brain, right? No wonder people say have good walnuts in your nutrition, and then you will have good supplements going to your brain, right? So what does that all mean? Growth is innate nature of nature, and we are part of growth, and hence growth is innate nature of you and me, and we have no exception but to achieve growth. Now, so be ready and geared up. Write it down. Write this particular thing. Mention this in the comments that growth is our obligation, responsibility, and nature, and a very sign that we are alive. Those of you who have joined recently, welcome once again to all of you to this 10x growth workshop. As I suggested, share, type, and mention where you are from. I'll be very happy to connect with all of you. Okay, so let's move on. As I said, growth, write it down in the comment box that growth is your obligation, right? It's my obligation, my responsibility, and a nature that I am alive. Yeah. Okay. Now let's begin the second episode. We have got a recap of what the first episode is. Now let's look at what the second episode is all about. Okay. So, as I mentioned, today we will understand the framework of how to achieve 10x growth. Also, I've also conducted a survey in the last 2 days. The question that I've posted in that survey is: will our past results, whether they are successful results or results of failure, will they define our future results, right? Where I put this question, the answers are surprisingly 50-50%. 50% people said that yes, they influence. Another 50% said that no, they don't define. Now we are going to answer that particular question in the next 25 minutes to 30 minutes of how do you think, I mean, do you really think the past right results will influence our future prospects? Have you heard these statements before? You know what? Hey, this guy is always a successful man. Whatsoever he touches, that turns into gold. Or this guy or this Hey guys, sorry, I think there was a technical glitch, and now we are back. Yes, some of you asked me to kind of increase the font size of the screen. I'll do that. I'll go for the full screen mode shortly. Yeah. Okay. I'm picking up from where we have left in the past. So did you come across these statements, right? That one guy is a lucky charm always, and the other person is not so lucky, right? Very true. Very true. Now we are going to decode the science and the logic behind of why such things happen. Are you ready? Are you geared up to know what this logic is? Right? We are. Are you geared up? Yeah. If so, type it down. That yes, I'm geared up and I'm eager to know. While I was working with TVS Motors, right? I started my career with TVS Motors as the senior design engineer, and I'm sure some of you are engineers here. A very important process that we always follow before launching a new product is something called benchmarking. Benchmarking is we start with the competitor's product. Basically, we start with the end result. We start with the competitor's product, and then go from the product level to component wise to system wise to individual assembly wise, and then the part wise, and understand why such parts are designed in that context, and then try to relate the influence or the impact of this design on the performance of the complete product. So that time I was that time Yamaha FZ and CB Twister. This was in the year 2010. These two vehicles were doing exceedingly well, and TVS Motors wanted to launch a product which would beat both of these competitions other than TVS Apache. That is where I've learned what is called reverse engineering, right? This is called reverse engineering, going back from the results perspective until a level deeper, until our system, so that we can correct to get what results that we wanted. We are going to do exactly the same. Yeah. Are you keen? Let's move on. So imagine results in our life, results in our actions, results in basically in whatsoever we do. You know, what are they dependent upon in general? They're always dependent on the actions that preceded the results. Do you agree? Correct? People say, right? Every action has an equal reaction. That's a different thing, Newton's third law. But then what I'm trying to communicate is the results that you get is basically dependent on the kind of actions that get into it. Yeah, do you agree? Okay. Now, the actions that you put in, on what basis your actions would vary? The actions that you put in are influenced by the thoughts of it. You're able to understand, right, what I'm communicating, right? The actions you put is by the thoughts that are driving those actions. Now, this is very, very fundamental and very, very important thing. I want you to, as you do an active listening, I don't please be passive listeners, be active listeners. As you listen, start processing in your mind if what I'm talking to you is making sense, right? Let's move on. And your thoughts basically are again propelled from your belief system. Okay, your thoughts basically are again propelled from the belief system. Whatever I believe is what gets into the action, into the thoughts, and whatsoever I think is what will translate into actions. And as per the magnitude of my action, out comes the results. Now, what is this belief system is dependent on? Okay, again, the font size is smaller. Now let me make the font size a little bigger. Yeah, can you see that now completely? Okay, yeah, great, Mr. Um Naidu, nice to see you. Great. So what I'm trying to communicate here is your belief system is once again influenced by your experiences. Now this is very, very, very important. Please look at this very, very carefully as I'm going to put this into full screen mode. Right? As I said, your results are dependent on your actions. Your actions are basically the outcomes of your thoughts. Your thoughts are basically from the belief system that you carry, and your belief system draws its inspiration from the experience. And you know what is that experience? Experiences are nothing but the results results which are in the future or present. Once they convert into past tense, they become your experiences. Now, understand this very, very, very carefully. If your experiences, if your results are always successful and are always positive, there are high chances that your belief system is also okay. And there are high chances that your thoughts are also positive. And there are high chances that once your belief system and thoughts are positive, your actions also would be positive. And once your actions are positive, right, positive and growth oriented, results will also be. Do you get what I'm trying to say? Do you agree with me? Right? Understand this very, very clearly. So, what is the core? The core of it is your belief system, my friends. Right? This question, right? A successful man always successful, a failure always failure. Partially, it is right. It is partially right, because your results, if your past experiences were successful, then your belief system, you would start with a lot of confidence that, hey, you know what, all my past assignments are successful and I'm going to begin as a successful man or a woman. And hence your thoughts are again growth or success oriented, and accordingly you'll get into actions with our growth oriented, and you will also achieve results with our growth oriented. How many of you are listening to this concept for the first time? Please type in the comment box that you are listening or you are hearing it for the first time. Right? And I heard it for the first time. Again, as I said, this workshop is designed of introspection into my own life, of how I was able to get, and a lot of observation and analysis of successful people, and lot of depth, a deeper study and understanding into the what do I say, into the literature also that went. And hence this is a combination of many, right? So there is the experience, there is logic, there is science, and there is reasoning behind it. I'm not talking out of thin air, right? Okay, now how many of you heard this for the first time, that my belief system influences my thoughts influence my actions influence my results, and if my results are positive, that again reinforces my belief system, and if the results are negative, it becomes a vicious downward spiral cycle, right? Do you agree? How many of you are hearing it for the first time? If you agree, then say perfect, perfect. Then type it down that yes, you are agreeing, and then you are seeing it for the first time. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on now. This is going to be even more interesting. This is going to be even more interesting. So, what does that mean? That means if we were to, but then again, the beauty is, though it is partially true that my past experiences / past results influence my belief system, but it is also true that the belief system can be worked out. Yeah. A successful man can continue to remain as a successful man, but a person who thinks he's a failure need not think and limit himself to be a failure. We go very deeper, my friend. So please do active listening and think through. Let's move on. How many of you here are from farming background? My grandfather was a teacher before independence, but then some of my cousins of my grandfather, and even the next generation, we are again into farming community. We have some fields, and then farming happens. How many of you also are from the farmers community here? If so, raise your hand or type it down in the comment box. Right? If you are from farming community, then my next question: have you ever tried farming? Tilling, toiling, right? Have you ever tried it? If some of you have tried it, you will be able to connect with what I'm going to tell right now. If some of you haven't tried it, don't worry, you will anyway understand it now. Though we had farms at our own place, but I never tried farming as part of my hobby. But while I was working with Bosch, I was handling a project called electronic hitch control system, which is basically automating the complete tilling process that goes into agriculture, right? Generally, initially, which was through manpower, then through animals, then through hydraulic tractors. where the plow gets and sits into the sand, and then it kind of pulls the mud and then creates those grooves for right better nourishment, for the better I would say mixturing of salts and nutrients, and then for better entering of good perforation, for better entering of moisture and air, etc. This is done. Now, I had the opportunity to drive and to test this product in the fields of Tiruchirappalli, Tamil Nadu. Now, this is what I've noticed. You know how farmers till their land? When they do the first round, they put the plow inside the farm, and then they dig it. And when they reach the other end of it, you know what they do? This is exactly what they do. That is given in the photo. They insert or they align two side wheels into the groove, and then let the tractor grow or move automatically. Tractor also has got an accelerator at the hand lever as well as at the hand, right? You can at the leg, you can operate it both ways, right? They put it on gear 1 or gear 2, and then they just leave it. Now the wheels that fell into the groove kind of guide the tractor in the next right in the next round of tilling. And then what happens? The tractor, when once it reaches the other end, will turn around, and the farmer does again the same. The other two wheels, he would put them into the groove and let them move on. Now, why I'm doing this, why I'm saying this is, the farmer here is saving a lot of his efforts, right? Because anyway, he has all he needs to do is make sure that the first groove is perfect and right, and then the rest of the grooves follow. And human brain is also the same. I'm sure you would have learned in multiple right through multiple books or through multiple sessions the same thing, right? We all say that it takes 21 days to master a hobby. All this come from the same thing. The first groove is important, and once you have your first groove right, and then the rest of the things is so simple. Now, fortunately, as I said, human mind is also like grooves. Now what you need to understand is, imagine like this: inside these grooves is where your belief system is. And now whatever that belief system has been containing so far, the belief system might contain that, hey, you can't do it, you are a failure, you're good for nothing, there is nothing that is good can come out of you, there is hardly that you could do anything, you cannot study, you cannot prepare for an interview, you cannot crack an interview, you cannot crack that examination, you cannot get promoted, or your business cannot grow, or your startup cannot flourish, or whatsoever, right? Whatsoever the nonsense shit that sits into that particular groove of our brain, now we are going to excavate, we are going to remove all that filth and all the negative, all that impossible kind of thoughts that are sitting in the groove, and we are going to work on that belief system, which is 10x growth oriented. Are you excited? I'm excited. I'm excited as I'm sharing these techniques and tools with you, and I'm sure you're also equally excited. If so, type down in the comments that you are excited too, right? How many of you agree with me that human brain is like that groove, and it is very important to be mindful of what gets into that groove? How many of you agree with me? Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, Bhanu. I'm able to see your comments. UM Naidu, I'm able to see your comments. And people who are watching on Facebook, you mentioned those comments, and I'll be able to follow you, and I'll be able to watch and see you. And who are all watching on LinkedIn, my suggestion, as I requested, please share it on your page, and write few comments on it. Okay. Now let's move on. Okay. Now, there is this Lao Tzu, who is again a famous Chinese philosopher slash author. He made these same statements. Of course, these are available to us through multiple versions, but then the content is same. He says, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become actions. Watch your actions, they become habits. And watch your habits, they become character. And watch your character, they become your destiny. Right? Now, whatever we learned so far is also very much similar in the same lines. And now we are going to work on that particular, right, on that particular belief system. Yeah. Okay. Great. Now let's move on. Okay. Now, what is that belief system? I'm not sure if you're able to see this font clearly. Let me make it big. Can you see this now? Is it big? Okay. Or if it is too small, let me. I think it's too small. I'm sorry. Let me do one thing. Yeah, perfect. I'm sure now you are able to see this, right? Okay. Awesome. Great. Abbas from Hyderabad, welcome back. Glad that you joined for the second episode too. Job also joined. UM Naidu also joined. Yeah. Now look at this. Now, before we get into that particular kind of a belief system, right? Let us look at what kind of circumstances that we usually come across in life, right? We definitely come across challenges. We come across obstacles. We come across places where we are supposed to put in or invest efforts. We come across criticism, right? We also witness success of others, correct? Right? Do you agree that these are all the things that we come across? Now, why I'm saying is our reaction, the choice that we make, and on how to react, right? The way that you choose to react defines what your belief system is, and that is going to define what your end results are. Okay. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this particular video completely. This I've shared on LinkedIn, but if you can see it and then watch it, then enjoy this video.
अबे कौन सी रस्सी पकड़ू? अरे वही पकड़ जो मैंने पकड़ी है। And we are live on Facebook. For right jobs, right candidates. Log on to monster.com. लगता गलत वाली पकड़ ली।
Okay.
Okay. So, as I already
Have you seen that video? Were you able to watch that video? If not, I've shared it on the LinkedIn. I will share it once again. This is a very funny ad, right? The concept of the ad is one guy is hanging from the mountain cliff and he's asking his friend to give him a rope with a hope that he could come up. And then this friend throws so many ropes at once, so many choices at once. And then what this guy does, out of so many choices, he unfortunately picks up the wrong one. Though funny and though a lot of comic sense is there in this particular ad, but this is very important. Most of the times, even in our lives, right, life throws at us so many choices, and it all depends upon us on how do we evaluate each of these choices and identify and pick up the right choice. Do you agree with that? And now why I'm saying this is important is once you pick this right choice, that is when you will be able to consistently define what kind of choices you pick, because you are actively working on your belief system, you're actively working on your thought process, you're actively working on your actions, and then by default, right, unless otherwise intervened, by default you will continue to have the 10x growth minds of choices picking up, because that is how you have programmed your mind. Now let's move on. This is a very interesting one, right? Let's move on. Okay. Now that is why the belief system becomes very important. And at this point of time, now that we have come to the context of mindset, let us see what this mindset is all about. Okay. So there is an author called Dr. Dweck, who is a PhD scholar from I think the Harvard University, and she has worked on multiple case studies, and her research was on mindset. And according to her literature, the mindset, she says, is of two types. One is fixed mindset, and other one is the growth mindset. Now we will understand what this fixed mindset and growth mindset is, and we will also see which one to abhor and which one to adopt, which one to get rid of and which one to embrace. Okay, the fixed mindset is something like this. Yeah, it is like this. Your view of yourself can determine everything. If you believe that your qualities are unchangeable, the fixed mindset, you will want to prove yourself correct over and over again. Okay, this is a book definition, but let me explain you. Fixed mindset people think like this. Yeah, things cannot change. Yeah, yeah, मैं ऐसे हूँ यार. How does it matter? This is how I am. Oh man, I don't think it is possible. Oh, I've given too many efforts and too many attempts, and I don't think I'll be able to crack it. Right? Do you really think that I'll be able to understand and change things? Things are given as they are, and that is how they will remain. Right? This is how the fixed mindset people think. Whereas growth mindset challenges everything. Growth mindset says that everything can be challenged, everything can be changed. Okay. Now we will go deeper. We will go deeper. Okay. Let me bring to this contrast. Right. As I said, in our life we come across these instances. Okay. Let me again now enlarge in this for you. Carol Dweck's theory, right? Okay. As I said, in life, we come across challenges, obstacles, efforts, and criticism and success of others, right? Now, let us see how people of fixed mindset react to each of these situations. What kind of choices they make to respond. When they come across challenge, what they do? They avoid challenges. When they come across an obstacle which they have to overcome, they'll probably try once, they'll probably try twice, but after third or fourth time, give up. Yeah, मुझसे नहीं होगा. It can't happen with me. I can't do it. And when it comes to efforts, I think this is very, very interesting, guys. Right? This is very, very interesting. People with fixed mindset always look at efforts are either fruitless or they kind of connect themselves with efforts by mistaking it to be talent. Example, let me tell you. Fixed mindset people think that, hey, I am naturally talented to do this. If I were to put in efforts, that means that my talent and skills are not sufficient enough. Do you understand how they think? They think that if at all they were to invest certain efforts, if at all they were to get into or put in some efforts, they always think that, right, that's not the right thing to do. They think efforts means it is undermining their capabilities and undermining their capacities. And whenever somebody criticizes them, they always be very, very careful to pick up the negative feedback from them. Right? They will pick up this negative feedback and only take it to their heart and get emotional, but do not work on it. They kind of ignore fixed mindset people. And these fixed mindset people, when they look at the success of others, they feel threatened, they feel jealous. Now, let me ask you a one-on-one question, right? Some of you who are working, how many times your boss or your supervisor or your manager felt insecure or threatened because of your extraordinary performance? Don't write it on LinkedIn or Facebook. Maybe your boss must be watching, but but listen to yourself, understand to yourself. How many times, right? Your boss or some of you, right? Some of your friends would have felt threatened, right? That's because nothing to do with wrong. There is nothing wrong with them. It is just that their mindset is fixed mindset. Now, let's move on. If this is what the fixed mindset is, then what is growth mindset and how they will behave? Let's look at it. Now, this is how growth mindset people behave, and this is what the mindset I want you to adopt. I want you to embrace, and I want you to pick it up. Right? Yeah. Let us look at everything. When you encounter a challenge, the easy thing is to avoid challenge. The toughest thing is to embrace the challenge. Right? You need to embrace the challenge because it is always the challenge that brings the best in us. Right? I'm sure you would have heard this story, right? In a temple, the statue or the idol in the temple and the footstep at the doorpost of the temple, they both are having this conversation. Okay, so the footstep at the door is asking to the idol, hey idol, you are also a stone, I am also a stone. You are also made from the same stone, I am also made from the same stone. You are also in the temple, I am also in the temple. But why is it that people step on me, but then people bow at you? Very valid question, right? Right? Very valid question. This is what the footstep stone asked the idol, and this is how the idol responded. Idol said, "You know what? When the sculpture came to carve us out of that stone, you only endured four steps, tongue, and you are done and you are set. But then I had to endure thousands of strokes. I was chipped day in and day out, day in and day out. I was chipped. There was so much pain I had to endure, but I patiently waited. I embraced the challenge. I embraced the challenge. And after so many thousands of hits and strokes on me, I have come into the shape of an idol. And hence, people worship me. And hence, people walk over you. Right? You need to embrace challenge, my friend. And when you embrace challenge and work in that direction, you are bound to get results. Okay, now let's move on. When it comes to obstacles, as I said, probably the growth, the fixed mindset people would have attempted once or twice or thrice, but they may not be persistent. But then the growth mindset people will be persistent in their attempts. Example, let me tell you. Have you seen, people in the stone quarries? They have this huge hammer and then they start hitting the stone until it breaks. Have you ever noticed? The stone will never give up at the first instance. It will never give up at the second instance. It will never give up at the third or fourth or fifth instances. It is possible that the stone would be giving up at say 100 stroke of that worker. But imagine this. Imagine if the worker hits 97 hits and falls short of just those 3 hits. Will the stone still be broken? No. Imagine the worker has hit the 98th. Will it still be broken? No. 99, will it still be broken? No. Only at the 100th hit of that particular stone crusher, or the worker in the quarry, right, will that stone, right, give up against the persistence of that breaker, persistence of that hammer. Maybe you are in the same situation today. You would have attempted once, you would have attempted twice, you would have attempted thrice, and then said, yes, I just can't do it. It cannot happen with me. I've gone to so many interviews and I was not able to crack a single interview. I've attempted so many times this particular competitive exam, but I was not able to do it. I've attempted so many times to crack this particular university or to crack this particular examination for that university, but I couldn't do it. Never mind, my friend. Maybe you are just at that 97th hit, or you are at that 98th hit, or you are at that 99th hit. Be persistent in your efforts. Don't be worried by setbacks. Be persistent in your efforts. And when you are persistent in your efforts, you will be able to go for that 100th hit, where you will have no option but to enjoy success. Let's move on. Again, as I said, growth mindset people look at efforts as path to mastery. Okay, I know that this is a skill gap that I have. I know that this is, for example, this is a software that I need to learn. I'm not able to understand. This is an exam and the concept that I need to master, or this particular thing that I need to work upon. I'm identifying a gap in my knowledge. The fixed mindset people think that, hey, identifying gap in the knowledge means that I'm not naturally talented. But then the growth mindset invests the efforts that is required to achieve that path to mastery. You're able to understand, right? You're able to understand, correct? Yeah. Let's move on. I mean, you're able to understand, right? Growth mindset people always look at efforts as a path towards mastery. And then when somebody criticizes people with growth mindset, they don't take things subjectively. Ki, yaar, he has told me this, she has told me this, how can I do this? My boss has told me this, or my reportee has told me this, all right, my colleague has made this statement. They don't go by subjective, they go by objective evaluation. Okay, if that is the negative feedback that I've received, what is it that I can learn from that negative feedback? What is it that I can learn from that criticism and move forward? Finally finally this is how growth mindset people think. When they find people who are successful, they feel no shy to go talk to them, understand how they were able to achieve what they were to achieve, understand how they are able to gain that particular extra, I would say, advantage, how they were able to do what they were all doing. And then they kind of mimic, even if it means to shamelessly say that's okay. They kind of even might comment, that doesn't really matter. But then they get inspired by the success of others. They don't get threatened, they don't feel inferior, they don't feel insecure, but then they feel inspired by the success of others. Now, my friends, I'm coming to the important point. I'm coming to a very, very important point. Which mindset are you in? Which mindset are you in? Are you in a growth mindset, or are you in a fixed mindset? Now, you don't have to write it anywhere, you don't have to document this anywhere, but this is only for you to understand which kind of mindset that you are into. If you are into fixed mindset, probably this is the time for you to come out of it and adopt this growth mindset. What will you do? Type it down and tell along with me on in the comment box as you do this, right? Type it down and tell this, right? When you face challenges, what will you do? Say, I shall embrace challenges. Write it down, my friends. Write down in the comment box. Because when you write, what happens? You are affirming it to yourself. You're making it a commitment to yourself that yes, when I come across challenges, I don't run away, I don't avoid, but then I embrace them. When I encounter obstacles, I will be persistent enough. I will not give it up easily. I will not give up easily. I will be persistent enough to conquer and overcome the effort and the obstacles. And the efforts I always look as a pathway towards mastery. Efforts are always looked as pathway towards mastery, and I feel obliged and I feel encouraged and enthusiastic to put in those efforts with all the passion that I carry, because I know end of the day I'm going to master that skill. When somebody criticizes you, look at the way as means to improve. When you look at the success of others, consider this as an inspiration. And when it comes to the, your life, ensure that there is no status quo and there is constant growth and continuous learning. Learning is very important. My friends, we have seen two great important things today. We saw how our actions are defined by our belief system, and we peeled layer by layer like an onion. From actions, we came from results, we came to actions. From actions, we came to belief system. From belief system, we came to from actions we came to thoughts, from thoughts we came to belief system, and from belief system we are coming to mindset. And we said we enter into that groove of the mind, and we are removing all that filth that is there in the grooves of our mind. If at all we are carrying a mindset of fixed mindset, we are now trying to get rid of that fixed mindset and implant the seeds of growth mindset, right? This is the framework for anyone to achieve 10x growth in life. What is that framework? Challenges, embrace them. Obstacles, overcome them. Efforts, consider as path to mastery. And criticism, take it as a means to improve. Success of others, do not be envious, do not be jealous, but then be inspired. And continuous growth mode. Right? Now, when this happens, last time when we started, we spoke about the downward spiral, right? And now we will talk about upward spiral. Now, as I said, once you work on your belief system and once you go with the context and with the anticipation that you are going to achieve 10x growth, your thoughts will be 10x growth oriented, your actions will be 10x growth oriented, and your results will be 10x growth oriented. And what happens when your results are 10x growth oriented? Those results will again become your experiences, which will further influence your belief system, which will get into your thoughts, into your actions, and into your results. You understand what I'm trying to say? Get it right? And this is an upward spiral that will put all of us into 10x growth mindset. Understand this, my friend. Incremental mindset will not give us exponential results. If you were to achieve exponential results, you need to have exponential mindset. And this exponential mindset, the other word of it is a 10x growth mindset to achieve 10x growth results. Right? With this, we are almost towards 8 p.m. I'm closing this particular session for now. I hope whoever have participated in this particular the Rajeev YSR show episode 2 have been benefited from it. In the first week, we saw what is 10x growth. We considered 10x growth as a paradigm shift. And in the second week, we saw the tools and techniques of what this 10x growth is. And going forward, in third week, we will see an important concept called Ikigai. I know some of you would have heard it. So far, it is all theory to most of you. And it is in the third week or third episode is where the Ikigai comes into picture. It is where the actual practical application, whether it is for organizations, for individuals, this is the time that happens, right? And be expectant and be eager to learn that. In episode 3, I'm going to cover that. You have any questions right now? If you have any points, any thoughts, please post them in the comments. Even after the live, I will go through each of these comments and I will start answering and responding to your questions and comments. If you want to connect with me, follow me on LinkedIn. If you want to be tracked and if you want to understand what all I do, and take benefit of advantage of different videos and knowledge that I release and share, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This is youtube.com/Rajeev YSR. I'm very, very happy to stay connected with all of you. And I'm very happy to share my 2 cents of from my own experience and then see how I can encourage all of you. Once again, thank you for all the participants, Abbas, Xavier, Job Thomas, Bhanu, UM Naidu, and Parvati, and all of you who have participated. It was great catching up with all of you. And wish you all a very, very happy Christmas. And I pray God that this Christmas will never be the same it had been. This Christmas will be something special for all of you in your life. Enjoy the Christmas with your loved ones. And once again, thank you very much for being with me as part of this Rajeev YSR show. Keep watching, keep expecting. Rajeev YSR, always committed to your success, your 10x growth expert/consultant. All the best. Bye. Choose. Tata.